Hi there. I'd like to welcome you to session 2 of our historical superhero game, Halley's Children, Belgrade. It's great to have you here. Settle in, like and subscribe, have a snack, and try not to get too annoyed at the historical details I am occasionally fudging in the name of plot. I am Serafina Smith, the game master of this particular game. With me are my fellow Streaming Rainbow GMs, Laura, Cam, and David, playing the OG Heroes of Hastings. With me also are two of our good friends, Mindy and Courtney, playing characters who I've just now decided to call the Belgrade Brigade. Say that 7 times fast.
No.
But now, let's all play a game. Y'all ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. July 14th, 1465. The Ottoman blockade of the river has been destroyed. John Hunyadi has returned to Belgrade with something in the area of 30,000 troops. At the Vatican, Pope Calixtus III calls for the churches to ring their bells every day at midday as a call to prayer for the brave defenders of Belgrade. Some sources say that he believes the comet above to be an ill omen for Christendom and excommunicates the comet. But Halley's Comet has more in store for Belgrade, and its children are gathering there. Heroes of Hastings, currently going by the names Andreas, William, and Jacob. On the day Hunyadi, or as you know him, Robert, returns, a soldier delivers to each of you an immediate summons to attend a meal with the man himself, for a meeting which the summons claims will be of benefit to all involved. Pagan also gets his own invitation. What do you do?
Yeah, Jacob is going to go because that's obviously. I mean, Jacob has been Ida has been working under the assumption as soon as they saw him, oh, he knows I'm here. So they're just waiting. So they're just gonna go at that point for sure.
Okay. Ida's gonna go. Anybody else go?
Hathor will purposely not decide until the very last minute, and then he will go until the required amount of time it takes to walk there.
Okay.
I will purposely keep his mind and intention blank until he decides to go to the dinner.
What would you say? What would you say if you were asked? If you were asked if you were going, what would you say? What would he say?
He would say, "I need to think about it."
What is there to think about, Haftor? Your decision, he already knows.
Not if you don't make a decision.
No, because eventually you make a decision. Decisions are always made.
I need to test my hypothesis. You test yours. Mine doesn't involve heads and jars. So maybe just give me a break, all right?
Science.
Oh no! Of course I give you break. This is no. You have to pique my interest, Haftor. Good hypothesis, and I walk away. Anish's going, obviously.
Okay. All right. You all arrive at the appointed waiting room in the Citadel. Otto and Edmund are there in sailor's garb, and Mirwine sits silently across from them, her features largely hidden by the hooded cloak she wears. Both Edmund and Otto smile when they see you and stand to greet you.
Hello.
Hello,
Old friends.
Edmund, Otto. At least the name should go by still.
I think right now it's fine to use those, yeah.
Very good, very good. I have taken it upon myself to go by the name of Andres, especially so close to the action, you know?
All right. Well, it's lovely to see you, Andres.
Wink, wink, yes?
Is there anybody else who isn't Hastings or here?
There are 2 guards at the double doors to the room that you'll be going into. But other than that, it's just you and those three.
Okay.
So it is very good not to be locked up in a room this time, no?
Yes. When he called us to make a deal about helping him break the blockade, we were suspicious at first, but the money was good.
The money is good, yes, and he knows all.
They nod. They don't think they wanted to say it out loud, but they nod.
Jakob actually goes over to Mirwine. And is she standing, sitting? What is she
She's
doing? Jakob crouches down in front of her and doesn't touch her because that's a hole, but just kind of looks up at her and smiles and says, "It's so good to see you."
She smiles a little bit, and when she does, her features shift in a strange way, as though she was just sort of holding the form of a human instead of actually being a human. And she nods, says, "It's good to see you all after so long."
Many thought you were dead. I'm sure you've heard this, but I knew there couldn't have been. You had to be. I don't look the same. I'm so sorry. I've forgotten. Ida. I'm Ida.
Oh, Ida. That's wonderful.
Yes. How far we've come from Hastings.
I've been everywhere, all over the world. Everywhere the ocean touches, I've been.
Perhaps after this, whatever's about to happen, if you can stay, I would love to hear your stories.
Maybe. I can't be away for long.
Well, then I will enjoy this as I can. It is nice to see someone from home.
Thank you.
And at that point, Ida just then sits on the ground. Jakob just sits on the ground and just waits. Just gonna wait and see what happens.
The doors to the dining room are opened by two guards who beckon you in and then close the doors behind you, remaining out in the waiting room and leaving all of you alone in the dining room with your host. The table is large enough for all of you and more, and is laden with food, fresh meats and fruits, reasonably decent breads, not precisely a feast, but nothing to laugh about either. Robert sits at a seat along one side of the table, across from Askelin and Phillimore, and beckons you all to join him as he uses a serving fork to put meats on his plate, and pours himself a mug of wine from a pitcher. When he speaks, it is in the same old English that you all spoke when last you met. "Come, let us eat and talk. I know things have been tight in the city, and I've been on the march for weeks myself, so I imagine we're all hungry here. I think what I have to say will interest you, and if it doesn't, at least you'll come out of it well fed."
Yep.
After goes and takes a seat.
Anusha's going to sit as close to Robert as possible.
Halfdoor is sitting directly opposed.
All right. He finishes collecting his food and drink, looks around at all of you. "When we first met, I was your antagonist. I imprisoned some of you. I even, to my lasting regret and shame, turned one of us over to my Lord William," here he spits on the floor, who had him killed for the crime of witchcraft. I do not expect your forgiveness. I can only hope for God's forgiveness for the evil I did. I can tell you, however, the years have changed me as they've changed us all. I'm not the man I was. Like you, I'm here to witness the fall of a star, to learn from it, whatever may be learned. I will tell you now what was revealed to me when I touched the sphere that changed us back in 1066. A new star will fall here in Belgrade on July the 21st. It will hit the city wall, though I do not know at what time, what section of wall, or even whether it will hit an inner or an outer wall. For the sake of the city's defenses, I hope it is the former. When it falls, I believe we should proceed at all haste to retrieve it. What boons it may grant, I do not know. What I hope is that upon touching it, I will be granted a vision of the next task God wishes us to pursue, be it another starfall or something else. I promise here and now to share what information I do receive with all of you. I recognize, of course, that you have no reason to trust me and reasons aplenty to be wary. I offer to open my mind up to Hafthor's scrutiny so that he may confirm I am speaking the truth.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I immediately give Hafthor the big eyes, like the.
Okay, before Hafthor.
Like, hey, I'm saying something to you, but my mouth is closed.
Hafthor taps into Anusha's mind real quick to try to, as he starts to fumble, showing
this
surprise.
Was this part of your hypothesis?
He's not going to respond.
I have a question, Hafthor. Serious
he
now.
Shuts it off. He shuts it off.
And Anush sits back, accomplished.
You smug piece of shit. Fuck you too. Damn, Sarah. Fuck. Okay. I would like to do would it be empathy?
Yes.
Outside of the mind first.
Okay.
If I can poker with Robert.
Rapport.
Good. I only have one. And I can't use that right now. So yeah, it's nothing. He average.
With an average, I mean, he looks like he's on the level.
Yeah. Okay. I try to go in.
All right.
Okay. And then what is it again?
You want to roll?
Great +2.
Great +2.
Or am I great? I don't remember my latest one. Oh no, it's superb +2. Sorry.
Ooh.
Because everything we can move our stuff up, right? Did I not do my?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Epic.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Epic. All right.
It is pretty epic.
Okay. Give me a moment. All right. You reach out to Robert's mind. You find it open and awaiting you. He allows you to reach past his surface thoughts and gain access to the deeper mental landscape. You find a man who initially lived his life in service to his liege, and when that relationship soured, he turned to serving God instead, because who could have possibly granted the blessings given to you but God? His faith is beginning to waver as he sees humanity destroying each other in the name of God, but he's still clinging to it for now. He sees all of you as a kind of estranged family and has begun to value non-empowered people less than you. And he's being honest when he offers to share information with you all. He feels that his actions previously were a transgression that he needs to make up for. He also desperately wants to touch the orb and obtain a vision, because that's like making contact with God directly. Also, his is the most powerful mind you've ever encountered by far. His will and intelligence dwarf that of the greatest minds you've touched. And that presents a problem, because while you don't know if it's actually possible, if there is anyone who could so completely create a fake mental landscape for you to explore without any evidence of deceit, it's someone with a mind like this.
Sarah, I really hate you right Okay. I mean, I don't know if it requires a bluff check or anything, because I think we've narrated it a little bit, and I guess to just like put that out there as well. I think there's an emotional bleed over sometimes in Hathor's feelings. So I don't know if that's like a self-compel or whatever, but I would like to do a bluff check that Hathor just like fully believes him.
Okay.
Like
yeah, you can roll to see for that.
He's being on the level. Okay. That is not good. A average. I gotta re-roll that. I gotta re-roll it. I'm gonna use a fate point for I think you.
I mean, Robert's your foe. That's
Yeah. I think the wrong character sheet might have got deleted, but I have one on my computer, so it's fine. That's why I was looking at it. Okay. Or no, I downloaded the wrong one. Okay. I think. Yeah. Robert being the foe. Okay. Rerolling. That's worse. Yeah. So we're below fair average again. Yep.
Okay. All right.
I'm out of 8 points. Oh, yeah.
So with an average, does everyone see what you're feeling?
I was talking more about the mental part.
Oh, okay.
That trying to hide it specifically from Robert, because I think we've talked about how we've narrated it a little bit, that there's an emotional bleed over, right? But I just wanted to mechanically have that reflect something, and I lost that gamble. Yeah, I think Hathor then just says out loud. I think he very carefully says, as far as I can see, and to the best of my ability, he's telling the truth.
Well, of course. Why would he lie? What does he gain? I am with you, John, Robert. I look around at the silent table. You know this is the thing to do. Otherwise you would not be here. What are you afraid of? All.
Edmund looks up at you and he says, well, I think we're a little afraid of a man who, when he had power before, chose to do with it as he did, and who has even more power now.
Do you believe in God? Do you follow the Christian faith?
Edmund shifts around uncomfortably, and he finally says, No, in these four walls, no, I don't.
For all we know, it was a meteor that struck that tomb 1,500 years ago.
Do not think both of these things cannot be true. I think your beliefs are your own, but in this world we must interact with each other, no matter what we believe in. Otherwise we die, and we do not build and we do not grow. This is simple fact. Yes?
Agreed.
Robert? Forgive me for saying this, but I believe it is a safe room to talk in, yes?
It's only us here.
You have apologized for things, and though I am with you completely, there are lingering scars. I believe Robert, he turns back to Eadman, is a follower. He does not amass power for himself. He's lost without a cause, without somebody to tell him what to do. And this faith is altruistic. It is valuing of progression and the forward of man and telling each other truths and wasting away with evils of all sorts and all kinds. So, knowing these two things, it is objective to say that we should join this man.
Asklin nods. He says, I'm willing to go along with this for as far as it goes.
Worst case scenario, we see more of what made us what we are. And we have an army at our back in case something goes wrong.
You speak of progress, of man, of men, of humans. You speak of eliminating evils. For this, I can agree. And as long as Robert is aligned in those ways, me and Robert are aligned.
That is good to
well
hear.
As anybody at this table. And in Anush's head only, he hears even the frog was convinced that the scorpion would not doom itself.
All you hear when you enter Anush's head is him screaming, "Let me into Robert's head, let me into Robert's head, let me into Robert's head." And that is just very loudly
And then it's
over and over and over again.
Yeah, you probably see a little bit of like this heat is oppressive.
Yes. Eamon and Otto look at each other and they nod, and then they turn and nod as well. And Mirwine shrugs.
For what it's worth, I believe
way.
At the end of it, if one of us knows where the orb falls, I can't speak for anybody else but myself, but I don't wish this. I do not wish our fate on anyone else. And if I could go back, I would have never touched that orb. I would have never been there. So at the very least, for the purposes of protecting those who may unknowingly suffer fates crueler than death, I do believe we should make a pact to shield it from the public as quickly as possible. And as a decide what to do with it.
I agree with this statement. I have no problems with this at all. From this moment forward, we shall tell no one, yes?
From this moment forward.
Ida makes eye contact and holds it with Halfthor. Like a hi.
That was so hot.
I'm in.
Goddamn.
I see two men obsessed with power, and I will do whatever is necessary to protect the people that they are going to hurt. Just so you know.
As I knew you would. And he gives a
Tink. Ida sits back as Jakob says, I am here to learn, and but I agree with Hafthor. This is something that should be protected from those who don't know what they're getting into.
Robert slowly nods. Yes, that's fair. We will do our best to shield the public from the effects of the star that falls. Well, thank you all for coming. Please enjoy your meal.
Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Are you not going to explain more about what happened? You've apologized, but there's many years we have not seen you. Do not know where you have been, what your mind is set on. I mean, besides your good lord. What gift besides these visions did he give you?
I have been given the gift to see visions of the future. I've been given the gift to take these visions in and understand them as best as can be done. I have been waiting for this moment for many, many years. I dedicated my life to placing myself in a position where I could make this moment the best moment that we can have. And here I am, with all the power in Belgrade.
To what end?
I must touch it. You don't understand. When I touched it before, it gave me visions, and I cannot see past it. Do you understand? I cannot see past that moment.
Yes. No, I understand the want, the need to come into contact with whatever this is one more time. The knowing of it all, John, that is what drives us. But what about afterwards? What about when you can see past? Would you just starve again and again and again? Will there be another rock that falls from the sky that you have to move towards? You are thinking one way into the future, but you do not think outwards or diagonally. We need to understand why and where these fall. Something set into motion by your God is set into motion the same way over and over again, or at least in a way we can predict it without your visions. I have built something that I do not believe is on the radar of the great works of the maths and the sciences of our realm. But it plays with lenses and worked glass. It, encased correctly, will enhance vision to see as far into the sky as hundreds of men. I believe if we use this, we may be able to track where this rock may fall. This thing you do not know.
How may we use it then?
Well, first I need a place to work. I need to set up, get it very stable, a place that does not move and has clear access to sky.
I can give you the rooms at the top of the citadel.
Incredible. Well, it is there we can draw maps and do calculations. And as many who understand this as possible, if any, I will need to help me.
Who understands this?
I do not know. You are the one who sees portents of the future.
You are the only one I know of that understands what you're speaking of.
Well, then I should start as quickly as possible. No?
I have a question.
Yes.
You saw this star.
I did.
Was this the only one you saw? This one coming?
It was.
You've never seen anything of another star coming before now?
I have not. Not a one. I see nothing before our time.
Did you see this from the moment you touched it back then?
I did.
It must have been a bit maddening.
I found many things maddening at that time.
You and I both.
We will put aside the past, the very long ago past, for now. Our friend Anush will do his work. I apologize, Andreas. Will do his work.
Yeah,
Is there a way that we can make preparations? I know we don't know where it's going to be now. What preparations can be made to protect the people here in this city that are already struggling with far greater issues to them?
Well, we know the day, but not the time. On that day, I can place troops in strategic places around the city. It's not hard. We've got so many of them right now that we're full to bursting. And give them instruction to watch for any, we'll call it stray cannon fire, and to set up a cordon around it if they need to.
Then I will gladly lend assistance as I can.
I have no more appetite for shared stories or orders. I stopped taking orders from Englishmen hundreds of years ago. I will make preparations in the way I know best, and you will know what those ways are. I'm going to take some of this food for those who need it.
Good.
And Hathor gets up and walks away. Outside the room.
Edith follows.
It is strange. Do you realize this? People we are looking at in this room will stay the same in this room as the world slowly crumbles to dust around us. I wonder if there are more chairs. How many did you say are in your army, Robert?
Well, in the combined forces that I have here, nearly 40,000.
Well,
I would not call them all my army. Many are mercenaries or simply peasants who the Inquisitor has brought to his banner.
one very important way to move forward and stay moving forward is to have a good community around you. Something stable and long-lasting. And then Anush leaves.
All right.
This is fucking
What?
villain.
What's the little shaky hat thing?
Villain arc. Fucking villain.
The Ottomans killed all of my family.
Yeah. Oh no, I get it. Ida is just gonna walk next to Halfthor once they're like well out of gone out of earshot, and they're just gonna say like totally like whatever to Halfthor. He doesn't see everything.
Halfthor grabs your hand. And says, "You are absolutely right." But he saw enough. And he explains to Ida that he's never seen a mind like that. In all the places he's been, in all the places he's tried to study and meet brilliance and delve deeper into and find those hidden vaults in people's minds, that this is the most Loctite, this is the most, and that he may have been fooled, and he knows enough that he doesn't know enough to know.
They nod at that. He is vastly strong. Absolutely understand that. I'm saying he doesn't see, he is not all-knowing.
I agree.
There have been other stars.
I agree.
So that is something that we can hold on to.
Yes.
But for now, let's just try to protect the people here as best we can.
I agree.
Meanwhile, down in the city, Mila, you are at the market square where food and supplies are being given out. One advantage to the breaking of the siege is that right now, no one asks who you are, what money you have, or why you should deserve this food. Everyone who shows up to the square gets some. While queued up with everyone else, Gideon, the proprietor of the tavern who has fed you many a time, passes near you with a small barrel of fish. Catching sight of you, he smiles and winks. Soup is back on the menu, looks like. You should come by sometime.
Indeed. You always know how to spice it the way I like.
The secret is lots of paprika. You know, Zlata, my cook, her man is going to marry her when the siege is over, and then she'll be leaving my employ. She'd be happy to have someone to train to replace her. I can't pay much, but there's food and lodging in it for you if you want the job.
Yes, I've been feeling rather guilty not being able to pay you back for what you've given. Absolutely. Any way I can, give back all those years of fish soup. If nothing else, I can make bread for the stews at night. That I at least can help you with already.
Well, you'd be doing me a favor if you help me out with Zlata. She's so distracted about her man right now. So
they have that nagging quality to take up your mind.
I'll never understand.
Really,
women.
she should be putting her face more in the Bible than in thoughts of lustful things. It'll make her better in the long run.
Well, I'm sure you and she can have a long discussion about that. I'm off to my place of work, and I hope to see you there tomorrow.
We will. And thank you. Truly. It has meant so much these years. So just thank you.
He just smiles and heads off. How are you? I mean, this offer of employment is something you've never had, and it means so much. It means having a place in the city. It means having stable food and a place to sit. How are you feeling right now at this sudden change?
It's overwhelmed a bit at the fact that it's like, for the last 5 years I've been on my own, scrounging and mudlarking and all that stuff, feeling guilty about imposing on anybody. So the fact that this turn of fortune has happened, and then my mind goes to, leaps to, well, I can pay back the Devonics for everything they have done. And then my mind goes to what Jelena told me the other day, and just the relationship that we've had since I was a kid with the family, and it's just all these leaps from this good thing to now, like, wait, this cloudy thing of these thoughts that I don't know what to do with, and then these weird strangers, and it leaps and leaps and leaps to all these different things. So it's just a lot of confusion as to what to do, and like the joy of good fortune, but at the same time having it compiled with, what do I do with all this sort of moralistic crap that is also happening at the same time?
Understood. And you get to the front of the line, and they just give you food. They give you food and stuff, just like you deserve it. And then it's a strange feeling.
It is a strange feeling. Like I deserve it. Indeed. What do they give?
Well, they've got plenty of fish. They've got spices. They've got bread and fruit. Basic supplies, basic rations.
So I take it, and I originally think of going to the tent where Jelena is, but instead I start walking to the remnants of my home. And
make your way through the city to the place where your home once was before the fire.
And I sit down in the space where our bed was, Mama's in my bed. And I sit down on the side of it where normally I would sleep. And I, spread out kind of like a picnic, as though it were for two people. It's like, hey, Mama. Things have been pretty crazy lately. Obviously, all the soldiers running around. Deja vu all over again, right? Wonder if Papa's among the... No. Let's not think of that anyway. But I have a job, finally. I know that's... No. I'm so used to making bread with you, and be good to learn a new skill. Especially since I'm not exactly sure how much time I'll be spending with Jelena and them. Did you know about them? About their secrets? I certainly didn't. And honestly, I don't know if I can keep them. I will try, because it is a good Christian to keep your promises, but when does keeping a promise go against doing what is right, you know? And then I just eat the rest in silence, trying to reach out to my mom.
The silence feels gentle. It feels warm, almost as though she were there. And we'll pan away from that scene of this young woman eating with her dead mother, the memory of, and move to Jelena. Jelena, you are in the tent with your mother Vesna and a soldier from the relief forces who has a mysterious fever. You know your mother well enough to see that she has already ascertained the source of the man's malady, but she is feigning puzzlement in order to test you and your understanding of the human ailments and their treatment. Would you like to roll lore to diagnose the man?
Absolutely, I would. Now let's go with my pulse dice. Seems apropos.
Yeah.
That is even on the dice, so nothing there, but I do have a great in lore.
Okay. With the greats, you recognize his fever to be a mild sepsis, likely from a wound that was not treated right and became infected. Upon inquiry, the man reveals a bite from a rat that he says he got when the army sheltered in Petrovarad. It was bandaged but never properly treated, and you can see that it is reddened and swollen. As you lean in to examine it, the cross you wear around your neck falls from its place by your bosom and dangles in view of the young man, who sees its reverse side and gasps. You know this man to have traveled here in the peasant army of the Inquisitor Capistrano. What I'd like to know, and I do have an extra fate point to dangle in front of you if you lean into your trouble aspect of heretics get burned. What I'd like to know is, does this man leave your tent alive?
Yeah. I think it is beyond anything that Jelena and her family would have ever stood for. We live in regular, constant fear, but we do not condemn people for their beliefs, much like we hope they would not condemn us for ours. So this man is free to live the life he should lead. She will clutch at her cross and start to worry at it with her thumb, and then turn quickly to go find the poultice and what she needs to help alleviate this man's infection, and turn back to treat him fairly.
You see your mother look at you approvingly. She was watching, but might have missed the deeper meaning of what happened just then.
May I ask your name, sir?
He looks at you, and you can see a touch of fear in his eyes before he speaks. And he says, Dmitri.
Dmitri, it is very good to meet you. Your parents chose a strong name for a strong soldier. Perhaps we don't ignore rat bites next time, and you will be feeling much better in the long run.
Thank you. I appreciate your help. Do I need to do anything to take care of this, or will it go away by itself?
I recommend that you keep it clean. And she'll give some clean bandages that they fold up. So I want you to wash the wound at least once a day, preferably more. And at the evening, you will put a little bit where the wound is, and you will wrap it not too tight, but loosely, so it has room to breathe as well. And I'm sure you will be feeling much better very shortly.
Thank you. I will take good care of it. I should not have allowed myself into this situation. I'm a soldier now.
I think perhaps accidents happen to the best of us. And she'll tuck her cross back into her shirt.
Okay. I want you to roll rapport, and I'm not going to tell you why.
Oh, sure. Okay. I'm panicking. I don't know how to count. I got a good.
Okay. All right. So he takes the supplies you've given him and leaves the tent with a hesitant wave behind him as he leaves. And your mother looks at you, and you realize that no, she did catch what was going on when she looks at you. And she says, "That boy is dangerous."
Everyone in Belgrade is dangerous to us, Mama. But it does not stop our purpose.
You've learned your lessons well. You are like your grandmother.
That is a fine compliment. Thank you.
Now, if it were me at your age, well, I was a bit of a firebrand when I was your age.
I think you still are, Mama. I'm going to just go over our supplies for a moment, if you don't mind.
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
And she leaves you to continue your work. All right. Okay, so we have 7 days until the 21st. Are there any things that you folks would like to be doing in those 7 days?
Oh, absolutely.
We know Anoush wants to kill everybody. Ida wants to see if they catch any vibe from that other shapeshifter. Like if anybody else pops up.
Would Ida have told Hathor about that? Yeah. And that's how, right? I assume like after we walked down, there was a larger conversation shared.
Ida talked about it when we all met up the first time in.
No, I know, but I'm saying that's how you know, right? Because
Yeah.
that's how you know he doesn't see everything. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So there would have been a larger conversation about that, and I think if you're trying to roll for notice for that, I want to give you the help action.
Yeah, absolutely. You can give me a notice roll to see if you catch anything going on.
Okay.
In those days.
Oh. Okay. It's a great with the help.
All right. You keep your eyes peeled. You watch the children running by that you would normally possibly ignore. You look for people behaving in ways that they maybe wouldn't normally. And you don't encounter anything.
Okay.
There was actually a scene I wanted to run that night, the very first night after the little get together we had with Ida and Hathor, if that's okay. And of course, my main man Pagan, of course.
He's always there. William,
yes.
William. Is there like a small room we could duck into?
I have a rented room or whatever.
Perfect.
The
Airbnb.
Yeah. We get to the Airbnb, and once we wait for a little bit for the owner to clean out the place, leave it to us for a moment. Anoush closes the door and says, "Did you notice? Did you notice something very, very big?"
Honestly,
Just say it. What
we don't need this right now. Just
No, to be patronizing. I don't know. I felt if we all were on the same page, it'd be a very interesting
You're nobody's teacher.
moment.
Just shut up and say it.
I also thought you were patronizing, to be honest.
He's going to die.
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. Yes, of course.
I would say that. See, this is the moment I was very much trying to prevent.
Anush,
you saying, "Oh yes, of course."
No, Anush, you absolutely say the most just off the cuff bullshit. So I never know what you're going to say because there's 80 other pages in other books that I've never heard of that you're on. So, absolutely.
How many years? How many years? Centuries.
Too many.
We've been together. You do not understand the way I speak.
No, I understand that I will never understand, but yes, absolutely.
500 languages. It is hard to keep track of these things that you do, that you know that, okay, he's going to die, right?
Absolutely.
He is.
Absolutely going to die.
It is the end. He's not going to reach the stone. What does that mean?
It means that Half-Thor can calm the fuck down about him. That's one thing. That's what that means.
It means that the Ottomans are going to win again.
I don't believe that. Not necessarily. It just means he's going to die.
He is their leader.
Going to win. If the wall falls, if it is an inner or outer wall, I have seen what the Ottomans are capable of.
All right. So we focus on that. We need to
have a plan to escape. We need to when the orb hits, we need to be able to grab the orb and get out, because there is no possibility that anywhere in the city, no matter what friends you may have made, will be safe.
Unless they live forever.
No. God, this is a page I was absolutely on the same with you. I knew that's what you were thinking. No.
Of course.
We don't need an army.
Thousands of people who will understand us.
No.
Why?
We don't even know if there's enough power for that.
Imagine a community. Why not try? You know, one way to figure out is you do.
No. There are.
How many hundreds of years have we been waiting?
This is no longer about the Ottomans, then.
It is always. They will rule the world unless we stop them.
Robert is going to die. That is a fact, and that is done.
Who cares about Robert? He did a thing hundreds of years ago. Okay. It was not even a month.
I also agree. I have never cared about Robert. As long as I was free from under his thumb, he no longer mattered to me. But we are not on the same page about infecting
himself. Infecting?
He has not proven anything except that he is obsessed with power and doesn't care who he hurts. So I don't want to continue that. So it doesn't matter. He doesn't matter. Having Half-Thor is right. We need to find a way to protect those who need protecting and get out. Get the orb and get out. That way you can study it to your little heart's content. You wanted that in Hastings, we can get the orb and you can tear it apart to its tiniest pieces, put it in the 100,000 jars that you have, which, yes, I did also see the heads, by the way. You can go to your tower and you can examine it and we can learn more, but we do not need an army.
I understand. You don't understand.
No, I do understand. We just don't agree.
No,
We
you
don't
don't.
agree, my friend.
But you haven't said anything. All you have said is no. All you have, you
I have
are
said
fast and you are loud, but there is no substance behind what you are saying, or at least you have not explained it to me.
because
You're very smart.
There's no point in explaining anything to you. There never has been. There has never been a single point because, of course, you are the smartest man in the room.
It does not mean I am right.
I agree.
It means I see a best possible outcome for myself. And I've explained this to you, and you know why. What I do not know
Is why I don't agree.
is why you don't agree. Yes.
I
You say these things like they are blaringly obvious.
don't know. This is how I feel. And by the way, yes, I am loud. Finally, I get to be loud when you absolute assholes wouldn't stop talking. I finally get to have a voice. So yes, be quiet, Anush. I don't agree. And this is why I don't agree. You want to amass power. You want to surround yourself and be at the top of the hill. That is what I see, my friend. And I love you. You are my brother. But I do not agree with you. I don't need that kind of power. And I absolutely don't feel like we should lead thousands of innocent people to a life that they do not know what they are getting into. I deserved, Hathor deserved a chance to know what this life was going to be for us, and we did not get that chance. It has been hundreds of years, but I still remember how you acted, how you were that first night. You were also horrified. You were not happy with the life that you had just been handed. So that is why I do not agree with what you are saying. If that is what is best for you, I understand that that's what you think your best course of action is. I do understand that. But we do not agree on how we wish to live the rest of our eternity. And that is it. That is the basis of the disagreement.
I do not
Can I go?
Yes, please.
I first support everything my sister, brother.
I don't know the word yet.
My
Sibling.
family, Ida has said. Anush, I had hoped without my oppressive eyes and stoic looks, and with Ida's guidance and good heart, you could turn from where you were going. But no despot, no demagogue thinks they are that. They always believe they are on the right side, and their convictions are just as true as yours. I don't stand opposed to Robert. I stand opposed to tyranny. If you choose to try to do what you want, what you are saying, then I cannot speak for Ida, but I will stand opposed to you.
He just waits for a moment. Because I don't think, like, until now, he, like, realized that y'all saw him as a villain or, like, somebody plotting. Do you think I am like him? That having to know these things is akin to being driven by some deity?
I think you are like him because you lack the empathy for those around you. For those who are not like us.
No, I do think you're right. It is not that I do not care about you, because I care very deeply for both of you and for everyone that we have come to know. I just... With time, I have not seen this as a curse or a thing that has hurt me in some way. What hurts is that there are people who don't have access to this. I am not saying to drive 40,000 men to an unknown crater of power in the ground. I just think that if there were more people like us to withstand the testaments of time, we could do something beautiful, different, amazing, and I don't want to lead that. I do not even care if I survive to see its ending. I just...
But there will be someone who does want to lead that. A horse will run to its death, just as you will drive for the power towards power for the sake of power without knowing who guides your reins. And however idealistic or neutral you pretend to be, your inability to see outside of your blinders will drive humanity to its death. We do not need more.
I
need less.
I'm curious. And Ida looks at Pagan. We've all been in this together, and I know that we treat you sometimes that like you are not here. But you
I find it useful.
I'm sure you do. I do always see you, just so you know. But anyway, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Just on any of it, not on your friend Anoush, but you have spent the most time with him and Robert.
The way I look at it, when we were in that field and that rocket, we all got what we were looking for. I got stronger and tougher, couldn't get hurt. And he looks at you, Anoush, and you got the time, all the time in the world. And you, looking at Ida, You got free.
Absolutely. The best gift I could ever been given.
And Hathor, I'm not sure what you got. But I think it was something that you wanted. Maybe that changed. But I don't see a problem with bringing more people into the fold if it gives them what they want.
If it gives them what they want.
If it gives them what they want, yes. They have a choice.
Do they have a choice if they don't know?
We tell them.
Okay. That would be lovely.
That I am
Always.
the individuals who individually choose, not mass creating armies.
We announce it to everyone. It is a way to save these people from an onslaught. Yes, I understand that maybe living forever and having your body change into something, I don't know what, it might be unfavorable, but they will die. End. This or death.
With the
But they have a
exception of you,
choice.
with the exception of you, Anush, we all could die.
Very real, yes. But there is a definite that they will without. I am so hurt that this is the way you see me. But I do not blame you. For this is what I have put upon. Allow me to fix this. Whatever you see fit, I will abide to. There are no secret plans. If you need to, my mind is open.
Ida.
So sorry.
Ida goes up and takes his face in their hands and puts forehead to forehead. Just taking a moment before stepping back. We do not have to be at odds. But so, do what you do best. Go up into that tower, look through that weird thing that you have with the whatever. If we can figure out where it's going to be, we need to know that no matter what the plan is moving forward. And that, my friend, will take up, even with your brilliant mind, I'm sure will take up longer than we wish it to.
Yes. Yes, it will. One foot in front of the other. You know, with so much time, it is hard to stop and look around.
Yes.
Okay, if you know where to find me, if you need me.
Ida looks at Pagan and says, make sure he eats.
One more thing. I believe one of us might have to kill Robert, so we best figure out who does it. And I exit the door really quick.
I think Hathor then turns to Ida and says, I'm going to work on an exit plan.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's all Hathor is going to do for the week. That and just like map the city, try to figure out ins and outs and safe passageway and who the smugglers are, in hopes of again just mostly trying to make sure there's an exit plan for the three of them.
Okay.
Yep. Ida did their thing, but also is doing the normal job of Jakob, running messages and dropping food whenever they can and trying to be helpful.
Okay.
I'm just going to work in the tower and try my best to map out the stars in the sky and learn about the trajectory of the comet and maybe try to predict where it would land. But I would also like to ask Pagan to find our friends Mila and Jelena, because they might be a problem.
What do you want me to do with them?
Well, probably stop. I would probably say to just start with talking to them. Yes?
You just want me to. You just want me to talk to him.
Is this going to be difficult? What would you like to do?
No, I just usually have a plan for things. What's the point of talking to him? You got to remember, when you're talking to me, you got to say the whole thing.
The point,
why,
Pagan,
and the what, and the when.
The point, Pagan, is to teach you. I will not always be around, you know? It is...
Yeah, you will. You literally will.
Okay, well, maybe fucking either might trap me in a box or some shit, so... in the inevitability that I get trapped in a box or mind wiped by Half-Thor, you need to learn how to do these things. What if one day you tell somebody the wrong thing and you have to go talk to them? What are you going to do? Just kill them?
I can
No.
talk to people. I just don't know what your point is of talking to these people in particular.
What do you think is best?
Peasants like anyone else.
That is correct, but what do they know?
Oh, I thought that was rhetorical. Yeah, they know about us. They know.
Yes, they know. That's very good. Yes, good. Yes, it's good to say it out loud. You know, even if you know it. It is good to put it in a space so that it becomes real. I kiss him really quick and I go back to work.
Boyfriend's red flags are right there. Toxic boyfriend shit.
Oh, what a complicated relationship they have. All right, so I know what the Heroes of Hastings are doing in the next 7 days. What about you folks?
Yeah. I believe Jelena and her family, they've been continuing to do as they have been, tending to the sick and wounded. But I don't believe Jelena has been sleeping very well, if at all more than a couple of hours a night. Probably early on, her mother and grandmother are sound asleep in the tent, and she's restless. So she gets up and goes over to the cart, and she picks out what our friend Half-Thor is rather fond of. She takes some mushrooms of her own and sits with scraps of different fabrics and starts to build a toy to give out to the children that are in Belgrade, hoping to bring out some levity to them. And a stubborn streak comes across her, and she pulls a charcoal from the fire that is cold now, and on the backs of the scraps she starts to write out protective runes, which she would never do before, but she's tired of not being true to who she is and giving what she can to the people. So she will sit and weave these runes into what she's creating and put herbs through it as well, with the intent that any child who gets joy from the toy in a way is under her protection. It is not so much that the Davanics pray to a certain god. The gods are busy. They have their domains. They do not pay attention to the petty squabbles of man, but they do recognize effort and sacrifice. And while the mushrooms, we call them dream-weaving mushrooms, they take effect, Jelena is thinking back on the visions that were given to her. And they are wonderful and terrifying. But I think overall, mostly she feels a prolonged grief. And she thinks on this over the evening. And in the morning, when she's finally done with the toy and she brings it out to play with the children herself as well, she's come to the decision that she would rather live out her life cycle in the way it was intended. And live it as wholeheartedly as she possibly can. And I think this is a thought that is continuing in the back of her mind as every day she continues to help heal and do what she can to bring joy to those who are severely lacking it in the time of siege and war. And this is where she stands. She's content and happy with the life that she knows will not be without its struggle and strife and pain. But if it goes the way she hopes, it will be filled with love and family and joy as well. And she finds solace in this. And perhaps once her decision has been made, she starts to find sleep a little easier. And this is what she does.
Oh, I want to respond to that, but I'm just moved. It's very...
Mila gets into a kind of routine. You know, the growing instability around her means that she needs to find something to latch onto that is solid. So she kind of makes a routine of her day to, one, be the apprentice of the chef, spend some time eating probably lunch with her mother, going to church, and trying to get any kind of guidance about how she should handle anything, the world that is surrounding her, the war, the confusion of what has happened with her relationship with Jelena and her family, and just any kind these strangers that she still isn't quite convinced are not demons in disguise, particularly that she wants to know, because it's like these are supernatural people. These are essentially demonic to her, and they are a threat, especially with the coming attack. And so that in particular, like she talks again, she has her promise to Jelena and she is going to keep it. But any kind of information about what do we do if demons come into our midst, because they will try to destroy us, especially, and who knows, they're being led by the Ottomans, obviously, because they are the bad guys.
Sure.
So
Obviously,
how do we protect ourselves from demonic forces that are going to try and destroy us?
very good.
And I don't know if you want me to wait to get that kind of information, but there's a little more after this part of the routine. After that, the prayer intel gathering part of it, she does go to the Draveniks, and one, she's like, look, I can contribute now to what you have done for me these years. Look, I have soup, I have all of this. I start making sourdoughs just to spite a noosh. I can make fucking risen bread, you asshole. Don't you fucking try to school me in bread. But there is a bit of a tension that she tries to hide, because she, again, does not know how to handle the fact that her dearest friend, sister to her, has revealed that she's not a Christian and that's wrong. And on one of these days, it's like, on one of the days when it's clear that Jelena is upset and she's trying to hide her own anxiety and just all this things, at some point, I don't know, it's like if it's after the night you put the runes, but it's like, I want to see like that piece of charcoal, and I pick it up, and in a way that you don't see, like behind something, I draw a symbol of Saint Michael, 2 wings, as a form of protection, like, for you.
I'll just do a quick Google.
Saint Michael, the archangel who defeated Lucifer. He is the patron saint of protection. And so I give you a symbol of Saint Michael, and one of his symbols is a pair of wings. Since I don't know how to read, I gotta put something.
Yeah.
I saw the snake man make the symbol once.
Before going to my actual room and board. Which honestly, I don't quite know how to handle a bed, so I still sleep on the floor. But at least this time I have a blanket.
All right. We've got a couple of rolls that need to be done before we get to the 21st. First of all, Anoush, you are studying the sky and trying to you're studying the sky and trying to figure out the path of the comet and where it will strike. So go ahead and give me a roll for that. And I think that is, what would you call that? Lore?
I'd love to call that lore. That'd be great.
Yeah, I call it lore.
I think so. Loring it up, I think some people might say. Can I, before I roll, just to get spicy, use one of my fate points? Knowledge is God. Actually, let's go mad scientist here. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I want to invoke.
Yeah.
Just him going mad, trying to do this speedy quick. I want to add 2 to that.
All right.
Okay. That's not terrible. That's actually very good. 2 plus. Great. Superb. Plus 2. Okay. Goddamn. Okay. Here's the problem. I've got 4 above great.
Okay.
I don't know what that is because I can't find my ladder.
It's legendary.
I need to climb, baby. Let's go. Let me look at the stars.
That one specifically.
Yeah, that one. None other.
All right. So yeah, with that, when the day comes, you're going to have an advantage on the check to see it fast. So good. And Half-Thor is casing the joint to see the ins and outs and the smugglers and those who know the ins and outs and stuff like that. So I've been thinking and trying to think, is that like a burglary? Is that
If it's contacts, can I help?
And I'm going to leave that up to you, David. Do you think it's going to be burglary or contacts? You are muted.
I was thinking contacts
Okay.
because my thought process was specifically to like try to find smugglers.
Okay.
Like even in addition to like doing his own sort of like scouting, right? Of like where's the weak points or whatever, right? Specifically like if somebody has like a boat out or something like that they could jump on.
Okay.
So I'll roll that. And I get a +1.
Yeah, Yakab absolutely knows lots of people.
Yeah.
Woohoo! 3 pluses. So I think that for me, it's so cold, guys. I think for me, I don't have contact. Yeah, so it's a great.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you find a couple of people who are doing smuggling in and out through the waterway, and with a little bit of schmoozing, you manage to get some information out of them, and they're willing to help you escape the city if you need.
And then on the 20th,
I
would like to get as close to who would he be? Who would he bet his money on? I think he trusts Ida's judgment. So he says, Ida, wherever you're at the 20th and the 21st, I'm with you.
All right. Okay.
I agree with you. We should let more women lead.
I'm not sure I'm a woman.
Oh,
I don't.
Well,
it's
whatever you are. I did a really bad job of it. So
I've done a lot of soul searching. I don't know what's happening. I'm just
talk
kind of
about
there.
that. I've met a few different cultures that have sort of like a third or fourth option.
We should have these conversations when we're not under siege.
Yes.
I would love that. Got it. Let's go.
All right. So the 21st comes. Morning of the 21st rolls on into afternoon. Jelena and Mila, I'm going to sort of force something now. Some errand takes you walking by the outer walls of the city. Let's figure out together, what kind of errand is it that takes the two of you together walking around to somewhere else in the city, and you happen to be walking past the outer walls?
I have a pitch, if you wouldn't mind.
Pitch it.
I think Yelena's cognizant of the tensions between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe her birthday. I won't, if it's Mila's birthday or if it's Yelena's, but there's a day where they have celebrated together since they were 4 years old. And she makes sure to take the time out of her day to see her sister. And perhaps they're celebrating Mila's new job, and they're going to maybe go get some cake somewhere and sit and
But
talk.
you think I cannot make cake?
It's not about you making it, my love. It is about you being able to enjoy something that someone has put labor into for you.
All right. You are on your way to have some cake when it happens. You're accustomed to the sounds of the cannons, but this sound is bigger. It's the biggest sound you've ever heard. And for a moment, there's nothing except the sound in your mind. And in the next moment, the wall comes down on you. You're each going to take 3 stress.
Okay, instinctively, I cover Jelena.
It's literally blowing you apart as far as that goes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're each going to take 3 stress. Now Jelena has 3 physical stress boxes, so Courtney, you can just mark off the number 3 physical stress.
Okay.
But Mila has only 2 physical stress boxes, so you'll need to take a minor consequence. It could be something like mild concussion or sprained ankle or something like that. And whatever you decide, it exists as like a temporary negative aspect to you.
Don't want it to be deafness. I'm going to say with the dust that gets kicked up, it is very hard for her to see.
Okay. All right. Both of you are in darkness, alive, but buried separately in rubble that is too heavy for you to shift. Heroes of Hastings, we go to you. Okay. I think that none of you are near the section of wall that was just destroyed by a falling star, but you definitely heard it. And if you were in a place that you think you might have seen it, roll notice for me. Anoush, you get a +2 to that roll. Good or above sees the star when it hits. Superb or above gets an advantage to getting there on time.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm just screaming for Jelena to see if she's okay.
Ida
It's the
got
same.
a good.
Good. Okay.
Do we hear each other?
No.
I got a superb.
Superb. Okay.
I'm coming for you, orb.
Ida was watching Anoush. They never doubted that he would figure it out.
David, you're mute.
I got a fair.
Fair. Okay.
Nothing great.
So Half-Thor is not. He hears the sound, but he's looking around and he's like, "What's going on? Where is it?"
Could I fly up in the air
Sexy.
to see it?
Yeah,
A
You
whole bunch
can.
of people would notice
You
you.
will be seen.
I will be seen. Okay.
catch it like a baseball.
No, I think he'll keep that in the back pocket. So I don't think anybody else has seen him fly yet. So
David did say that Half-Thor was hanging with Ida.
yeah, I was wherever Ida was though.
Okay.
So.
Then you.
I
Can
guess I
get-
could give Ida the help then. So whatever you had, you could just add +1, I guess. Anyways, or if that works,
Sarah.
I don't know. But either way, or we could use my fair. I don't care. I was specifically going to be next to Ida though. I couldn't decide if I was going to be next to Ida or Anoush, but I chose Ida.
All right.
It felt less metagamey.
Okay. So that's cool. I'll let you go off of Ida's roll. Okay. So then it's going to be an athletics roll to getting there fast enough to do this.
How about being carried by Pagan? Is that an athletics roll?
A-B.
Pagan can roll athletics for you.
Four
Thank
pluses.
you.
But Pagan should get a penalty because he's carrying a human body.
Right? Disadvantage.
Or a -1, -2. You know what I'm saying?
All right. That's fair. Well, he is super strong though. He is literally supernaturally strong.
I hope he's not.
And he's going to use a fate point to invoke "That's the Power of Love" and a theme song plays. So,
Ooh, is the power of love epic?
I'm imagining like my heart will go on just playing in the background as Pagan running slow motion through the city carrying her.
Is the power of love epic? Because that's what Half-Thor rolled.
Excellent.
It's been a second since Ida turned into an animal.
Okay.
If Ida could turn into like a horse,
Sure can.
could I add something? Because we add 4 to deceive if I'm a person, but what do we add to? Could I add something extra as like I'm fast because I'm a horse?
when you are a horse, you have the temporary aspect form of horse, and you can tap that for extra.
Okay. Awesome. So then I tap Ida straight up. Just Hathor looks over. Yakab is gone. Now a real good-looking horse shows up.
Hathor jumps on.
This is a very good-looking horse.
Oh, yeah.
And
immediately is like, doesn't even lose a step. Just
I'm gonna add 2. Then I'm gonna use that fate point to add 2 and go from a fair to a great.
Okay. So you got a great and an epic together. Pagan did not roll well, but I did let you use the
power of love is not strong, guys.
So it's a great for Pagan.
Oh, goodness gracious.
All right.
This boy.
So you guys are heading there.
Kill this fucking turd, Robert. Sorry.
Back to Mila. Mila, your breathing is rapid. You're in a gap between stones that's as small as a coffin. There's no light. You can barely move. Even your breath is restricted by the space your chest has to expand. It seems likely you will die like this, trapped in a rock tomb, just another victim of this war. What do you do?
I grab onto my cross.
Mm-hmm.
And with every ounce of adrenaline and strength, calling upon, any of the saints and the Lord to guide me through that gap and get me to safety.
You can roll physique to try to get out of there.
That if nothing, it's like at least like move some of the rocks so that I could. That's not on any of my things, so I assume it starts out as a mediocre.
That is correct. It is mediocre if you don't have it on your sheet.
Awesome. Oh, it's still mediocre.
All right. Okay. Yes. Despite all of your faith and your emotion, the rocks do not move. A bit of time passes, though, and then, to your excitement, you hear a grinding sound, followed immediately by the sound of a man cursing. It is the most amazing feeling when the stone is somehow pulled away and you can breathe fully. Light streams in, momentarily blinding you as the stones above you are removed and you are freed. Your savior, Gideon, owner of the Fisherman's Soup House Tavern, frowns at you, his brow creased with worry.
I hug whoever it is because I can't see who it is. So
yeah,
but it's like, is there a familiar smell or feel of like who this person
smell
is
of
that I know?
paprika is very strong, and his voice is familiar when he says, "I'm glad you're still alive, but I'm so sorry you had to get dragged into this."
Jelena, she was with me. I don't know. I can't really see right now. I don't know where she is. I called out for her, but I could not hear her.
In that moment, Mila, you feel a stretching, ripping pain in your upper back, an unimaginable pain, an unbearable pain. The flesh of your back is torn apart by the enormous wings that are sprouting from you. I'd like to know 2 things. What do your wings look like, and what do you do?
Oh, fuck.
One, I don't know what they are.
Okay.
I just know that there is this ripping, pulling feeling of like hands just ripping through my back. And it's just like feeling the blood as it pours down my spine. That is all I know. And to me, this is like, again, demonic. A demonic force is ripping me apart. Oh. And so I just am, everything around me just falls away to hyper focus on this pain and fear. And I just, in an agonizing scream, I just, like an animal that is being attacked, I just start to run. It doesn't matter what direction. I can't see anyway. I just start to run. And the wings, they look like angel wings. They are large, white, feathered wings. And absent-mindedly, she like I said, she does not know what this is, but like unconsciously, they are probably flapping as she runs, giving her a speed bonus and pushing back anybody behind her as she just tries to run to some form of safety from whatever this horrifying thing is that is happening to her.
All right. You push past the startled Gideon and go running into the city, wings beating as you run. Meanwhile, still trapped under the rubble is Jelena. Jelena, you think you were unconscious for, well, you're not sure how long, but you come to buried under rubble. Unlike Mila, you do have a little light, and you're not being compressed by any stone because, well, it looks like the climbing vines that you often see on the city walls have formed a sort of lattice structure that is holding the stone off of you. What do you do?
Call out, Mila! Mila, where are you? The head is ringing. And she's going to try and push anything close to her to get more space, to get onto her feet, to move.
Okay, you start pushing, and instead of physique, I'd like you to roll empathy for me.
Yeah. That goes to a great.
Okay, so you feel around you the sense of these vines as though they're reaching out to you and asking what you need.
Push through the wall. Push the rubble.
And as you watch, the cracks above you get wider. The light starts to flood in. You're momentarily blinded as the rubble above you opens and you are freed.
I'll climb out and start to look around at what is around me.
Around you, you see the remains of a wall that has been broken down. Is the outer wall. And as you look through the crack, well, you notice that the cannons have stopped.
With her bare hands, she's going to start throwing rocks. She's looking for her friend. Nothing else matters right now.
You begin checking through the rocks, throwing them aside, looking for Mila. And we'll go back to the Heroes of Hastings. When you arrive at the smoking rubble where the wall was hit, you are struck with the feeling that there's something wrong. And after a few moments, you realize the cannons have stopped firing. That can mean only one thing. The Ottoman army has seized on the opportunity of this break in the wall. The infantry are coming. You may have only moments. What do you do?
No, they cannot get it. They cannot get it. I look. I search. Where is this orb?
Notice.
I would also like to notice.
Okay.
But okay, go.
Ida actually becomes Ida out of habit, and also does notice. We'll give the help action as well.
Okay.
Oh, I think you're
great.
Great.
Ooh, +1. I think I have it at average. Good.
All right. The first thing that you all notice is, of course, Jelena, her body covered with dust and gravel as she searches in vain for her friend in the rubble. But you do with those rolls, find the hole where once there was an orb, but it's not there now.
Mhm.
And we'll end on that. Thank you, everybody. And we'll have more fun adventure times next week.
She keeps taking the orb away from us every season.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Hey
It's the
guys.
fish.